Yeah, in terms of sparring, we got some great guys coming in. Some really experienced southpaws that are smaller. I think Montana Love is coming in. Shakur Stevenson wants to come in. Jermaine Ortiz. We're gonna hit up Erickson Lubin, some of these guys. So we're just gonna bring in a plethora of fighters that are fast, quick, shifty southpaws.
Canelo Alvarez. Shakur Stevenson has no relationship with Jake Paul. None. We heard, oh, Boots is a sparring partner. How much you got paid for that? So now, isn't that also applicable to Shakur Stevenson? Is he not also a sellout?
It's honest, but again, I want to see them fight. I want to see some aggression. Tank would have that if it was anyone he actually felt was worth it. I just don't know if he thinks Jake's worth it. Again, I get that feeling that he just is there.
Jake Paul just pulled a shocking move, bringing in Shakur Stevenson to spar ahead of his fight with Gervonta "Tank" Davis. According to Paul, Stevenson actually asked to join the camp, which adds serious weight to his preparation. Paul explained that his team has stacked the gym with skilled southpaws, fighters smaller than him, but sharp enough to give the exact looks he needs. Still, Shakur's name jumps out. There's never been a connection between him and Paul before, and that's what makes this partnership so surprising. Paul believes that training with Stevenson and other sparring partners will give him the edge he needs for the challenge of a lifetime against Tank.
Yeah, in terms of sparring, we got some great guys coming in. Some really experienced southpaws that are smaller. I think Montana Love is coming in. Shakur Stevenson wants to come in. Jermaine Ortiz. We're gonna hit up Erickson Lubin, some of these guys. So we're just gonna bring in a plethora of fighters that are fast, quick, shifty south.
But here's where analysts are raising eyebrows. The sudden Paul-Stevenson link feels unusual, even suspicious. Some are comparing it to when Jaron "Boots" Ennis helped Canelo Alvarez prepare for Terence Crawford. The difference? Boots had family ties with Canelo, so the arrangement made sense. With Shakur and Paul, there's no history, no shared background, no connection at all. That leaves only one explanation on the table: money. Observers believe Paul may have offered Stevenson a serious payday to come on board. And that raises the question: is this move about sharpening skills, or just pure business dressed up as boxing?
Shakur Stevenson reached out to Jake Paul in support of him preparing for Gervonta Davis. Help me understand, what is the difference between Boots Ennis reaching out to Canelo Alvarez in support of his preparation for Terence Crawford versus Shakur Stevenson reaching out to Jake Paul in preparation for his fight with Gervonta Davis? Tell me, what is the difference? I'll tell you what the difference is. The Ennis family actually had a relationship with Canelo Alvarez. Shakur Stevenson has no relationship with Jake Paul. None. We heard, oh, Boots is a sparring partner. How much you got paid for that? So now, isn't that also applicable to Shakur Stevenson? Is he not also a sellout? I don't want to hear anything about this fight. It's against a YouTuber. It doesn't matter. No, Shakur Stevenson is an elite level fighter that is going to be a sparring partner to a YouTuber, and he reached out to him directly to make it happen?
Shakur Stevenson himself tried to clear the air when asked about Paul versus Davis. He said if he were in Tank's shoes, he'd see the fight two different ways. From the business side, it's a gold mine, big money, big attention. But from the fighter's side, Stevenson admitted he wouldn't take a matchup like this. His words reveal the split between treating boxing as a career move versus fighting for pride and competition. Critics may call his sparring role questionable, but Shakur openly admits money plays a part. And that honesty highlights what boxing has become today, a blurred line between sport and spectacle.
So can you blame a man for taking that opportunity? Because this is prize fighting, right? It's about making money and securing your family. Can you fault him for that?
It's two sides of that. Like,
okay.
It just depends. Like, as a fighter, just because I had a draw with somebody, for me, I may run it back. But in a business aspect, if you run it back and you lose to Lamont, and then the Jake Paul fight is presented, you may not make as much money, or the fight may not be as lucrative as it was before you lost. So as a business, I understand. I ain't going to hate on the decision, but as a man
Your
and
pride
as
will
a
get in the way.
fighter with my integrity.
Yeah, but isn't there a price for everything, Shakur? Like, even if you had a draw with somebody and you were offered 10 times more than you ever, I don't know what the number is, but it's a lot more than he's ever made.
Yeah. Southpaw orthodox matchup, left hand down the pipe. You can even see here, I'm not even trying to do the whole body language breakdown, but you could even see Tank could get under that left hand because he's 5-0. He could roll under that left hand, and here comes the brick hand over the top. If he lands something like that in 10 ounces, I'm going to tell you this. Jake's 200 and something pounds. That's still going to hurt at the very least, and who knows what, because Tank's got ridiculous power. So Jake, a little sloppy on the push there. He got pushed. He wanted to get it back. There's something to be taken away from that, but lines up perfectly for a counter left hand. And you even see his promoter here is kind of grabbing his left hand because Tank wanted to let it fly. And Jake backed up a little bit. He said, oh, and Tank comes with that. Tank, man. Tank said, where I'm from, the bullies get bullied. All right, dude, there you go. Listen, takeaways from this thing, I don't know. Tank seemed to have a little bit more energy today. He seemed to be more lively. Him going back and forth with the media, with Jay Leon, with Jake, with Aiden Ross. There seemed to be a bit more energy today. That's all I really asked for. So in terms of, selling us on something, sure. Better job today from both guys. Jake, seemed a bit more locked in here with Tank as well. They had a little bit more fun. Tank going after Nikisa was pretty funny. But listen, this doesn't change anything in my mind. The 10-ounce gloves doesn't really change anything to me. I mean, again, I think that's a bad idea for Tank, more so because even if Jake doesn't land clean, those are 10-ounce gloves. It's still going to hurt. Tank is still punching in gloves that are 2 ounces heavier than he normally uses, so I don't know how that's a win for him. The $2 million bet almost certainly won't happen, which I didn't think would in the first place, but Tank pretty much confirmed it. And we're all left with the same kind of idea that we thought about this to begin with. This is an entertainment exhibition that we know is going to draw a ton of eyeballs. I'm going to watch, and there's going to be great high-level competition boxing on the underneath card. And even in the main event, if something is to happen, if someone is to get knocked out, it will go mega viral, and both these guys are going to make a shit ton of
in this particular in the press conference, and you can just look at him and tell, like, no, this dude he's going to get this money for sure because there's so much money out there to be had. But Jake Paul better be not playing around, man. Not get cute, not play any games. Don't hit him in the back of the head. Don't rabbit punch him. Don't do any of that stuff, man, because Mike Tyson, first of all, a lot of people think Mike Tyson was pulling punches on Jake Paul, and a lot of people think that Anderson Silva was pulling punches on him too. You're not going to have a little Gervonta out there pulling punches on you, man, if you're out there playing games. So, I don't like the fight at all. However, as far as it being an entertaining situation, I almost guarantee you that fight itself is going to be entertaining, that it's going to be something that you look at and you're going to say, man, everybody's going to watch it. Everybody's going to want to know what happens in it. But at the same time, it's kind of like what people think, when you see a car crash, like you're driving down the road and all of a sudden the traffic gets heavy and you're like, man, I'm going to be in traffic for a long time. And then you drive forward a little bit and then you see, oh man, this is some accident on the other side of the road and everybody just slowing down to watch. That's the type of entertainment that you can expect from this fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. There's going to be a lot of people watching it, but I got to say, man, you really can't blame the guy on what he's doing. And there's a lot of criticism flying on Gervonta Davis. It's not Gervonta Davis's fault that boxing took this turn.
And then things exploded at the press conference. Jake Paul and Tank Davis squared off, and before anyone knew it, they were shoving each other. The crowd went wild, but many analysts called it for what it was, entertainment strategy. In today's boxing market, these press event brawls aren't always real, they're built to go viral. The push between Jake and Tank feeds perfectly into the hype. Can the bigger man overwhelm with power, or will the smaller, sharper fighter prove size doesn't matter? Either way, it sets the stage for a fight that promises not just competition, but pure spectacle. And that's exactly what makes fans tune in.